All right. Good evening once again. Before I start the class, I just want us to help us to send this particular advert on the screen to your friends. I know I sent it to the group. It's going to be a retraining. This is not just a demo. So there are persons that who some of us that are here that actually did not start from the foundational class or aspects of computing. You are also free to join that section. Like I've specified here, I'm going to expose us to Windows and then how to use Microsoft Excel, basically. So please help us to send the link attached to the ad to friends to join that group to enable them access the Zoom link. Okay, so just to continue from where we stop. Yesterday we started looking at that the real application of Python in data analytics, where we looked at, I think, about 3 different topics. The very first topic we treated was how to set up data analysis environment. I said that step is unavoidable. You should start, or you must start by understanding how to create a development environment where you can call in your data and also the respective libraries you intend to use for your analysis. I also took my time to explain what libraries are as far this is concerned. Now, I told us that libraries in this context or in programming generally means the collection of functions. So, for someone who will be using Python for another purpose outside data science or data analysis, will probably need another module or another library. But for us, we have some defined libraries which are recommended for us to access analysis functions. Just to mention the key one, yesterday I talked about the pandas as one of the most used data analysis library with Python. And I took my time to explain why it's essential that you must install or import pandas. I told us that the pandas actually offer us set of functions that helps us to perform analysis on our data, that is to perform different analysis calculations, and also help us to reprocess our data. I also talk about another library which is called the NumPy. I said the NumPy works alongside with the pandas, but the primary or the core function of the NumPy is to assist Python to load large data sets. That is the reason why I said Python can load unlimited data volume compared to other platforms like Advanced Excel, which can only load 1,048,576 record per sheet. Okay, so now after looking at that, I also showed us, in fact, I explained the steps how to set up that environment before you import your library. I said you are expected to create a folder in any of your system storage or directory, for example, desktop or document. And after that, you come back to your Jupyter notebook directory. Come back to your Jupyter notebook directory, which is this environment that I am in. So from here, you should be able to know where exactly you created your project folder. So I created mine yesterday on desktop. So I'll simply open the desktop to view the items inside it. So from here, then I'll look for the name of my project, which is, I think, Weekend. Let me see if I can still remember it. No, it's Weekend Data Analysis class. So once you double click and open it, you are going to find all the data sets you must have added into the folder. Like I advised yesterday, that folder should contain all the data sets you intend to analyze. So here we added, I think, about 1, 2, 3, 4. Some are CSV format, some are Excel worksheet format. And then I said you proceed to new and create your notebook. But because I have created the notebook yesterday, I will not want to go through that. You can go and look into that video to understand how we created this notebook called analysis underscore class. So all I need is just to double click on it to resume from where I stopped. So that is going to call back my notebook, and then together with all the code I have written in there before now. Okay, so now this was exactly what we did. And I said in today's section, I will continue from, exposing us to some Python inbuilt functions and attributes that can actually help us to explore information about the data set we are about to analyze. So just a quick recap. Here I imported libraries called pandas and numpy, and then you can see the syntax here. Import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP, and then we further added this line of code, which I said is optional, actually, depending on what you do after now. But because I know that in the course of the training, there will be at times that we have to directly create data set here without calling an existing data set. It's actually possible that if you don't have any data set to work with, you can actually design or create the data set. But if that is going to happen, you are going to need this line. And then we executed it. So the next thing we did was to load a data set or data frame in this format. So I started with loading a CSV data format, and then I explained this DF to be my data frame. Watch that video. I explained the difference between data frame and data set. So here we wanted to see the data, and I said to view the data frame, which this function must have called from this URL and store in what df as our data frame. You can see that all I did was just to call the name of my data frame, and then here I have my data set. So here we loaded another data format, which is Excel format. So the only difference between this and the other one is the introduction of what underscore Excel as against underscore CSV. So I explained that because it is possible when you are working remotely, they can send you either remotely or in person. They can give you a data set in any of this format. So I expect that with what I've explained yesterday, you should be able to know how to read the data here. because I made us to understand that you cannot even analyze data when you don't even know how to load data into your development or the framework you are using. So in this case, our framework is simply the Jupyter notebook, which brings all data aspects in one place so that as a data analyst, I will be able to what? To speak to the data. So that is what we have done so far. Okay, now we are going to start with this topic, data inspection techniques. Data inspection. So let me start by explaining what is actually data inspection that is very necessary for us as data analysts, as one of the fundamental steps that must be observed before you commence your analysis. Now, when you are given data sets as a data analyst or as a professional, understanding or knowing that that data wasn't computed by you, it is wise you understand the data. There are processes that should be followed as a professional data analyst that makes your journey of deriving insight, actionable insight from the data very easy for you. Number one, when you are given data, it is our responsibility to sort out, to gather the data we want to analyze. But when you are working with a company, all you need is just to demand for the data. So which means that what? Someone must have entered the data in a storage. So you are only calling the data, or you will be given the data. Now, since you are not the one that computed the data, it is now a must that you must take some time to understand the data before you approach it. Now, what that study will help you to achieve is to make you to draft very strong and effective analysis question. Now, I want us to understand that as data analysts, you need to understand that once your questions are weak, it is very possible that your outcome will be weak. That's why you don't joke with this step of understanding your data, because it will affect the questions you are going to draft thereafter. So it's very important. Now, we are going to look at what am I supposed to exploit or to check on any data set I am given to analyze, just like this data set we have displayed here. Ordinarily, what should I find out about this data? Now, the first thing we need to know is to have an idea of what is the total numbers of headers in this data set. It is wise you have that understanding, because that will inform you on the possible number of analysis questions you are going to answer. If you are given a data set of just 3 labels, or let me use the data science term. In data science, all these header ID region, we don't call them header. We call them features. So how do you know the total numbers of features in your data? Remember, I also referred to them when I was explaining data frame as data objects. Okay, so I need to start by understanding how many of them do I have in this data. So that is the first task. So that question is an inspection question. It's a question that is leading to checking what is in the data. You have not started analyzing at this point. You are only using these techniques, this method, to have an understanding on the data. So the first thing we want to look at is what? How to check the total numbers of, let me use the basic terms so that we understand it, headers in the given data set. So this is the question. You are not supposed to be counting manually as a professional. You come here and say ID 1, region 2, country. That you should know the attribute, the function that can fetch that out from this data. So, and the name of the attribute is called dot shape. The name of the attribute is called shape. Dot shape. Now, there's something I'm going to explain to us in a moment, which I want us to actually pay attention to. Now, I'm going to use a function called what? Let me not call it function 100%. We have function, we have methods. In programming, when we use the word function, we are talking about complex, predefined parameter. When we talk about attributes, we are talking about a property that provide more information about the main elements. So I will call this attributes or method, not function, because it's not going to carry the parentheses brackets. So now I will say dot shape. So I'm using dot shape. Now there is a reason why I added the dots. The dot means what? You are concatenating these attributes to an element, and the element should be your data set name. So which means that the syntax, remember I have told us about syntax in programming. Syntax simply means the set of rules that govern how the language should be spoken, how the line of code should be written. So as a programmer, you need to prioritize syntax. Now, what is the syntax? The syntax is going to be data. The syntax is going to be data frame name, data frame name. Then dot the shape. So you can see the reason why I added a dot, which means that what? We are waiting to add the name of the data frame in which this function or this method we scan through to get the total number of what? To give us the measurement, the dimension of the data frame. Remember yesterday class, I said the difference between data sets and data frame is that when you use the term data set, your emphasis is on the total numbers of headers and the total numbers of records put together form a data set. But once you use the term data frame, it's a different perspective. You are concerned with the dimension of the data, how long and what's the height of the data. That is exactly what we want to get. Once I get it, it's going to give me the breakdown of the total numbers of the headers and the total numbers of record. So it's one function that we perform to check up for me automatically. Now, how do I apply it? Now, remember that we just call up an existing notebook. We created this notebook yesterday. Now, there is every possibility to experience what we call timeouts. Now, you imported this library yesterday. Don't be surprised if you run a code on this cell. It might be telling you that what? The function pandas or numpy does not exist. So before you commence, let's quickly reinitialize. Let us refresh the notebook. And how do we do that? You go to run, and then you select what? Run all cells. That is, you are re-acknowledging each of what? The cell. Then you wait for some time. So I hope we are following. Please let me get response from at least one person before I continue. Response from one of you. Are we following? Please, somebody should unmute and respond sharply, please.
Yes, sir. I'm following.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I'm
Thank
following.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so like I was saying, so you can see that what all the values have showed up, which means that you have reinitialized all the cell. Now I want to know the name, the data set, the very copy I want to check for its width and height. So let's say I want to check for what? DF, the data frame you name DF. Following this simple syntax, you simply come down here and say DF dot shape. So once I run it, you see that what it outputted what the total numbers of rows. What you are having here is the number of records. What you are having here is the number of headers. So you note it down because now remember that when you are presenting your findings to the stakeholders as a data analyst, you are going to have them put in slide. Probably your first slide will be the introduction of yourself. The second slide will be the introduction of the data. In that slide, you are going to tell us or them that the data set you analyze is an inventory data set with the so number of headers and record. So when you run this code, you can get this information for you to reflect it in your slide. So that is one checkoff. So we just inspected now, and we have gotten the result that we have this number of record and the number of what row. So the next thing, the next checkup I want to do is that, okay, now you have been able to give me an idea of the total numbers. Now I want you to display only those 15 headers for me from the data. That is what, just bring them out, pull them out. Don't show me their record. Just list them out for me. Then I can count in case you are doubting whether Python actually got it right or not. So that will take us to how to list only the data headers in the data frame. So the syntax, so we are using a method called dot columns. There must be S. So what will be the syntax? The syntax will simply be data frame name dot columns. So the same way, I will say, okay, I want to pull out the headers in DF data frame. So I'll say dot columns. So once I run it, you see that that automatically call out only the headers. Now we want to confirm whether Python was actually sensitive enough based on the counting we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And Python is also telling you that where all these headers are cut from is called what? Objects, as what? Data type. Okay? So now, when I told us yesterday that all these headers are called objects, so you can say it. So Python have just confirmed that all these headers, they are what? Data object. So that is one inspection skill you need to have. All this should be in your memory, all this simple line of code. You know, most of these things that we are doing easily in Excel, you have to copy, then go to a place and paste. So you can see with this short line of code, we are able to to achieve that. So the next checkup I need to check is I need to actually have a kind of holistic breakdown, detailed breakdown of my entire data frame that will give me the report this one is giving, that will also give me the report this one is giving, which is like a shortcut. So you can decide as a data analyst not to bother this, not to bother this. You can just use the one I'm about to show us now. And then only if you know how to interpret it, because that is going to analyze information about the data. So that is the next inspection, which means what? How to check total information about the data frame or data set. So we are using a function using .info function. So you can see why I am proudly calling this function, because of the parentheses bracket. Now the syntax, the same thing. The syntax will be data, let me just put it this way, data name .info. That is the simple syntax. So I just want to run information about the df again. I'll say df dot what info, df.info, then I run it. So you can see that you have a total breakdown of the entire what data, total breakdown of information about the data. So let me break it down for you. That's why I said if you are depending on this, then you need to have the interpretation scale. So let me just help us here. Class panda call what? Data frame. Now range index. Range index talking about what? The ID, the number, the range. Now we all know that in programming, the very first element is usually represented with what? 0. From the basic Python class, you should understand that. So why you have 0 to this number is because the first header is assumed to be at what? Index 0. I believe you know that. Data column, this is what you got from here. Running this code give us this value 15. And that is all this info is also giving us here. Total column, total 15 what? Column. Now, he now went further to list them to tell you that these are the column. Now, this is a table. This one is giving us the what? The ID, that is the number. Why this is the column. And here is telling us what? Non-null. Not null counts means what? Is counting cells with value. Okay, because we can have missing value. We can have cells that does not have value, which are usually represented here as NaN, which means not a number. So once you see that, you know that Python is actually telling you that what? There is no value. But let's interpret it. Now, the data type of each of them. Under age, you have integer. Under name, you have object. Now, let's look at this interpretation. If you check your data set, let's say you have this 55,500. If you come across it, it means that you have total numbers of this record under this column. That's what it's saying. You also have the same number of record in this column. You also have the same number of record in this column. Now, if you continue and you see any number less than any of this, let's say here you now have 55,000, maybe 400. That tells you that what? There are missing value under what? That column. Now, in as much you are having the same number all through, it tells you as a data analyst that there is no empty cell. That is what it means. So there is no point of you running function like what is n, or let's say is now, which help us to check whether we have missing value within our data set. So now it's also analyzing the memory space this data is occupying in this particular or in Python memory, which is what? 6.4 plus what? Megabytes. It's not in in gigabyte. That's a very small data set compared to Python. Now, that is for that. Now, the next thing I want us to check, we want to check for missing value. We want to know whether there are missing values within our data set. Okay, so how do we check? How do we check? Let me also use my statement. How to check for missing values in a data frame. How do we check for missing values? Now, to check for missing value, we are going to use using dot isna. It's a function for inspecting your data for missing value. Now, the syntax will be data name also, data name dot isna, data name dot isna. That will be the syntax. Now, I will just quickly run it, the same df dot isna, and then run it, and then check. So you can see that it outputted false, or true, false, or true, false, or true. Now, anywhere you are saying false, it means that what? There's no missing value. Anywhere you find true, it means that what? There is missing value. But I have a challenge here. As a professional data analyst, I will not depend on this report. How do I know? The volume of this data set and the capacity of the notebook could not allow me to read all. This dotted point we are seeing here means what? There are some that are wrapped under. So the framework could not display all the 55,000 plus record. So except now, what I will do is that if you believe this report, what about if you have missing value in between 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 before you jump to this? So this might give you wrong impression. This might mislead you. And that is why what we are going to do, we are going to run an absolute function that, please, anywhere you have missing value, call out only those records. So if I run this function on this data set and it calls out no record, is a confirmation to me that what? There is no missing value. But if it brings out any record, I know that, oh, there are also number of what? Rows where under one of the column or feature, there is a missing value. So what I'm going to do that is to apply a technique where I am going to use two functions, isna and what? Any. So let's look at that. So let me target how to display only the row, or only the row with missing values. Okay, so how that will be achieved, we are going to be using dot isna. So we are combining them together. So isna, we identify them. The any, we display only those identified. That is what we are saying. And dot any. Okay, so one, we identify them. One, we display only those identified, like I said. So let's quickly look at the syntax. After this, I'm going to go for a few minutes break. And what we shall be doing is that I will allow you guys to display so be preparing. If you have not loaded your Anaconda, load it now. Remember, I told us yesterday that every one of us should have gotten data set loaded in here. So I'm going to be panning from one person to another, and then I'm going to be asking you to perform some of these things before I proceed. So please start loading your Anaconda if you have not done that. Okay, so syntax here is going to be, so I am going to, okay, let me just highlight it. I'm going to start by calling the data name. Okay, let me explain it first. Data name. Then I will now select. Remember that in data analysis or machine learning or data science, particularly in Python, when you involve the square bracket, the interpretation is what? You are about to select, or it means what? Select, which means that what? From the entire data frame, you now want to pick some. That is the meaning. So once you see that square bracket coming in this case, it means we are saying that from this data frame, call out. Then inside it, you have to reference what? The data name again. Before the square bracket, you call the same data name. Inside the square bracket, you call it again. Why you are calling it? Because you want to attach the two functions involved to it. So you start by saying dot what? Is now. You start by saying dot is now, and then you come outside, you are still inside it, you will also say dot what? Any. So this is the syntax. Now to implement it, my data set name is df, then select the df again, dot is now, complete it, come outside here, add dot any, and also what? Complete it. So if I run this now, you see what it will bring out. What did it bring out? I think, okay, say what? Unalignable Boolean series provided what? An index. Let's see what did not match. Okay, yeah. Now, once you get this kind of message, it means that what? You have to specify because you are talking about rows. So you need to tell Python, inside the .any, you have to specify the axis. So you just say what? Axis equals to 1. So what this will do is just to tell Python that what? I am talking about record. Now you can see that what? It calls out only the header without displaying any value. Now, I want you to do something. There is a data set I loaded here where I deliberately have missing value. So I'm going to call it, I have missing value here. Then I run that same function. You see what will happen. So let me quickly call it sharp so that we can understand what we are talking about. So let's say I am loading another data set, loading, just to verify what we are. I hope you are getting our notebook ready. Customer data. So let me check what format is this. This is what? Excel format. Customers 2. So I will just come here. I will say I've already imported my pandas at the top. So there's no point of me importing all those stuff. So I will just say customers equals to pd dot is Excel file, right? I think, yeah, Excel. Read underscore Excel. Then I'll open it. Now, let me show you another technique you can use. You can simply call the name of the data set with the extension without calling the path. It's one of the methods that can work. Well, but if it doesn't work, you cannot use the path method. Let me copy it, then I'll show you just to make my work faster. So right click on it and select what? Copy path. Then come back here and then what? Paste it. So what I'm saying is that if you try that relative method that I taught us yesterday, if it doesn't work, just simply call only the name of the data set like this with its what? Extension. So most time it works fine. You can see it now, it works. So now for me to call the data set, I want to show us a technique that you should know. I'm actually borrowing it from data science. That is a technique in data science. Now, where you have a very long header, very long name, and you don't want to start typing it. Maybe I want to call out the data that is stored in this customer. And this name is a very long name. So all you need to do is this. Just type the first two letters, CU. And then there is a tab button on your keyboard, TAB. Press it 2 times. It will display what? All the words, the name or the existing keyword with that have those two letters you type CU. So from here, you know the one you are picking. The one you are picking is this. So if I run it now to display the data, now you can see that this data have missing value, like I told you before. You see? Now, if I copy this code now, if I run this code now, this code that we run here now, on this data set, you see that we'll have some rows returned. So Control C, just to make my work faster. So I paste. So all I will do is just to change the name of the data, CU, then column, then tap the name, then come here, delete this, CU, tab, then if I run it now, you see that it returned 1, 2, 3, 4, telling us that what from that data set, these are the rows where at least under one of the column, there is a missing number. If you check this row, there's a missing number. That's why it brought it out. If you check here, there's a missing number. If you check here, why did they call this one out? There is missing number here. Why did they call this one out? There's a missing number here. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want to observe my first break. And then when I return, we still have more of them to exploit. So I want us to start showing me your assignments, what you did. Remember, I said you should get your notebook to where I stop before I continue. I just decided to continue because we're behind the time. But now I want to check. And then at the same time, I'm giving us 10 to 15 minutes to run some of this function. Please, you can share your screen now. So I'm going to ask you one after the other. Please, for those that are joining with their laptop, please, I will advise you share. Let me start by confirming how many of us are actually joining with our laptop. How many of us are joining with our laptop, please? How many of us are joining with our laptop? Okay, let me call. Okay, can anybody respond, please? If you are joining with your laptop, please. Your laptop. Who is joining with laptop so that I can start with you? Mr. Val, I know you are joining with your laptop. Check. Okay, so I have the. Okay, let me start with Mr. Valentine. Or okay, somebody should share screen. If you are led, just share your screen. Please share your screen. I am waiting, please. Back to you shortly. Mr. Valentine, are you just starting your notebook? If yours is not ready, if I have anybody who is ready, please, can we just switch to, okay, who is this person? Who is sharing now? Okay. Okay, so I can see your screen now. Okay, so sir, please, you need to be talking to us so that we can also follow you up. Ngozi, hope you are coming up with yours, please. Please, we can unmute now, please. We can unmute so that you can respond to my question swiftly. So please let us all be working. Before I continue, I will ask us to preview our notebook, just like Mr. Valentine is doing. So everybody should be working. After some time, I will ask to preview your screen. Ngozi, can I see your screen, please? If you are here, please kindly unmute and speak to me. Mercy, are you still here? Mercy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, but mine is not ready.
Why?
Yes, sir, but mine is not ready.
I'm asking also, why is it not ready?
Like, I'm sorry, like I said, I came back yesterday, so I need
Okay.
to compile everything again. Yesterday and today class.
So you are assuring me that before the next class, it will be ready, all the two classes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mr. Alfred, what about you? Mr. Alfred, if you can hear me, please.
Hello, I can hear you. Good evening.
Is your
My
own ready?
laptop, I'm having the
I can't hear you now.
being the same again.
You said, sorry, come again. You're not hearing you before.
No, it's not. It's not, sir. It is not ready. I am having network issues, so I'm not able to link network into the laptop. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay.
So I'm connecting with my phone. I'm on this. I'm live with my phone right now.
So are you also assuring us that before the next class, it should be ready? Both the one of yesterday.
Yeah, it will be ready for the next class.
It's a promise?
Yes, yes, it will be ready. It will be ready. Yeah, it's a promise. Before Tuesday, it should be ready.
Okay. Ngozi, the same thing. Yes, you have just notified us that you're also joining with your phone. Will the assignment be ready? Will it be ready before the next class, Ngozi? All right. So since I think I have to just round up so that to round up. Then, but I want to encourage us to stay on this thing so that you will not pay to relearn again, please. Don't play with all these things you are learning. Just make sure that as we are going, be practicing them. It's very important. It's very, very, very important. Please do not allow them to pile up so that you not end up saying it's difficult. It's just an advice for us.
Okay, sir. Can I chip in something, sir, please?
Okay, all right.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, this data frame you're working on.
Hmm.
This data frame you're working on. I don't have it. I was wondering if you could share it, maybe I don't know, on our WhatsApp, so that I can reload it into my laptop. I don't have anything on my laptop right now.
Okay.
Apart from the Python, and I downloaded, I just uploaded and all that, but I don't. My laptop is blank of any data. So if you can please send it to us through WhatsApp, and I can populate it my system with the data so that I can work on. Thank you.
Okay, I will do that. In case I forget, also keep reminding me, please. I will do that. Okay, so
Okay, I'll do that, sir.
but
Thank
I
you.
hope you know that you can as well get sample data from Cargo so that you don't limit yourself to the data
Yes, I can, but this
providing. And so no, I'll give you this, but I just want to
no,
know.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. So let me quickly explain the remaining two under data inspection, and then because the next class I'm going to dedicate the whole of Saturday class for data cleaning. So I just want to deal with the set of skills that we need to have for us to be able to check your data, to understand our data before we start analyzing them, which is the process, which is the order. So I just have two additional ones here that I am going to talk about, and then we'll bring the meeting to close end. One is not actually a data inspection function, but because there are some important information we can also derive from it statistically. That is why I am adding it. It's actually a hybrid. You can use it for inspecting, and you can also use it to extract some analysis insights from your data. So let me just quickly look at dot head. So let's see how to view certain records from your data frame. So here we are using dot head. So all these that I'm explaining now, you will see me using them often when we study analysis. That's the reason why I'm trying to make sure we get used to them. Now, the dot head, like I've explained, the dot head is to actually call out data serially or record serially from your data frame. For example, now, when we called the DF, you remember that some of them were folding in. And you could not even access 1 to 1,000 or 1 to 100. Now, supposing you want to see the first 100 record, you want to see the first 100 records, and the idea is that we are pulling them out and storing them in a different data frame. So the question can come that take out the first 10 record, store it as a different data set, and then perform your analysis on them. So we're going to start with how do I even view them? So I'll say, okay, the task is what? View only the first 100 records. Let's assume only the first 100 records. from df data frame. So let's assume that is a task. So the syntax is going to be a very simple syntax as well, where you just call the data name and then you add the dot head to it. That is all. So using the same df, I'll say df dot head dot head. So if I do not put anything inside that head, it's going to call out the first 5. So if I run it, it will call out what? Only the first 5. Yes, you could be saying 4, but that is not 4 because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if I want to, let's say, based on what I'm asked to do, I called out these first 5, and then I want to make them a different data frame. So what I'm going to do, I will just convert them because right now they are in displayed mode. Display mode cannot be recalled, cannot be referenced in your future analysis. It's just displayed. So if you want to reuse it for a valid operation, you have to take what you are seeing on the screen, then put it in a data frame. So what I will do is just to put this in data set, just to put the, just to put the displayed data in in an object, what I will do is that I will just equate it. That is, you are storing this in, let's say, df. Let me use a descriptive word, first underscore 100. Sorry, first 5 underscore record. So learn to use descriptive name, then equals to the whole of what displayed that value. So if you run it now, it will store it. Right now, the whole of what we are seeing before, they are now in this. So if I want to see it, then like I said before, to view the data, just call the name. So calling the name, I'll type FI, the first 2 letters, then press tab on my keyboard. Then you see the name here. Then run it. So you have them in a valid data object that you can reference in the course of your analysis. So now, but if I want to answer the question the way we prescribe it, the first 100, what I'm going to do is to put the 100 inside it. If it's 200, if it's 300, put it inside. Then run it. Now you can view from the first one down to 100. So that is how to use .head. That is how to use .head. Okay, so I believe it's clear. Please, can somebody respond before I proceed with the last one before we draw the curtain?
It's very clear.
All right. All right, so now let's look at the last one, which is, like I said, this one is hybrid. It's not only for inspection, it's also for performing basic statistical analysis. Okay, so how do I use this? Let's say how to perform simple statistical analysis using dot describe function, sorry. So the syntax is still the same. We just add the data name. Data name is df. Okay, let's say I want to perform it on the one we just created now. So I'll just type the first two letter tab and then call it, then dot describe. That is what? Describe this data with basic statistical function. That is what? Count, minimum, maximum. So if I run this, what you get, you see it. So it calls out only the headers that has what? Integer or numbers. So you have only age where you have number in that data. You have billing amount where you have number. You have room number. Meanwhile, there are other headers with string which are not involved. So what it tells you that under age, the under age, you have what? Total 100 from, remember that we call out what? The first 100 here. So that is what this is actually what? Equating 100, 100. And what we have 100 record under each of these mentioned header. Now, out of the 100 record, the minimum under each is what? 49. Sorry, the mean. The mean under billing amount is this. Then the mean under room. Then the standard deviation. The minimum under each. So you can see the analysis question now that this must have answered. In case you are asked, what is the minimum age of patients in that data set? Because that is medical hospital data. Is age. So the minimum age they treated is 18. Then there are some random percentage analysis that this function also did, like the average, the percentage of what? The 25% of all this, the 25% here, 25%, then 50%. Then the maximum for the maximum age is what? 84. So this is also a valid analysis question you should note. So you should be able to present all this inside. So this is where I draw the curtain, and then I see us on Saturday. So like I said, please, I want you to help me to, I think I will drop the link again. You have a loved one or you have friends who you feel that should partake in this master class. This is not just pro, it's a master class. It's a course or it's a class that people ought to pay for. But we just want to, it's 3 hours training. 3 hours training. The first 1 hour will be dedicated to familiarizing us to Microsoft Windows. There are a lot of us that are even here that did not pass through computer primary school before you jump into the university, because the data analytics you are learning just like the university aspect of computer. But for you to have a very strong background, you need to have the basic knowledge of computer. So that is why we are giving this free, and probably maybe any one of them may want to subscribe for any of the advanced after attending the basic training. So it will be of help. So the first 1 hour to the 3 hour schedules will be for Windows, and then the 2 hours that will be remaining will be for mastering Excel in detail. So no matter how you have attended my classes, the course of the training focus of this one is different from when I'm training you Excel for data analysis. But this is going to be focused on training you on Excel for office management, training you for Excel for office management and general usage of Excel without relating it to data analysis. So I'm also encouraging us to be there. It's going to be impactful. Please help us to send a link to someone to enter that community group where we drop other the Zoom ID and other necessary information. Any questions so far before we call it? So after this, the following Saturday is going to be special coding for teens, for teenagers. So prepare your children. You want them to join that class. It is possible that it might be free, but it might attract maybe a token, not more than like 2,000 naira to join that class. But the idea is that people that will be in that class are expected to join this section so that they can have foundation before going to that special teenagers coding section. Is going to be an exciting training. We are going to blend them with some basic coding languages like Python, just pure Python for coding. and then or programming, and then probably how to use web structural language like HTML and the CSS. So that is going to be for teenagers. Adults that face that they want the fundamental skill on programming can as well join that class. It's going to be the next Saturday. So from now to the next 5 Saturday, we just want to reel out different training, and most of them will be free. So that is why they need to stay in that community group for them to get the update as it develops. Okay, any question, please? Any question? Do we have questions so that we can bring the class to an end? Any question?
No questions, sir.
No questions. So we're meeting next weekend.
Yes, Saturday, same time.
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday, same time, 8 p.m. And please,
Sir, please don't forget to drop the.
yes, I will.
Don't forget to drop the data frames on WhatsApp.
Data cleaning.
Okay.
We are going to be focusing on data cleaning.
Thank you, sir.
On Saturday. Probably on Sunday, we'll start the main analysis. All right. So good night,
Okay.
everyone. Have a blessed week.
Good night.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Good night, everyone. Good night, sir.
Ikem,
Thank you.
reconnect. Drop
I should
your phone
reconnect.
number.